All right, everyone, welcome to the EdUp Experience podcast. It's your time to EdUp, where we make education your business. I'm filling in today for Joe Salustio, and we have a lot to talk about today. We're here with Brian Black and Ryan Stowers, my co-host from the Charles Koch Foundation. So I'll kick it off to you, Ryan, and we can go ahead and get started.
Wonderful. Thanks, Arbaz, and thanks so much, Brian, for being with us today. It's an honor. I was commenting earlier to a colleague, it's incredible when you find individuals who are so passionate about what you're doing. And as Arbaz said, there's a lot we could talk about today because I know you're doing a lot. So maybe I'll just kick off this first question and then we can go from there. But tell us a little bit about the Herman Academy, what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe why you're passionate about it.
Well, the Herman Academy of the Trades, we're located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we are a 2-year post-secondary Catholic men's trade school, which is the combination of lots of things that haven't been combined before. We're quite new. We graduated our first class just this past weekend, graduated 6 guys. All of our students are currently employed in an apprenticeship in their skilled trade. So we very much integrate work and apprenticeship in their skilled trades formation. Program's pretty simple. It's 2 years here on campus, so it's a residential school. Guys come from all over the country. We have 2 programs right now. Both are 2-year programs. One in the manufacturing skills, which can lead a guy into something like a machine maintenance technician or a machinist. Very much focused with your hands on the shop floor, doing real things, making things, fixing things. The other program we have is our Electrician Program, which is also a 2-year program that provides a young guy with all of the what's called related technical instruction in 2 years, where he learns all of the ins and outs of the arcane National Electrical Code, which governs all of our electrical systems in the US, while he also learns the manual skills of pulling wires through conduit, bending conduit, understanding how motors work, fixing controllers, and so on. So both of our programs are very hands-on. And the reason we undertook this great adventure is we discovered that guys didn't really know how to get started. I think it's a challenge for any young man to step out of home, get done with high school, and get out into the workforce. He not only needs to know what it is that he's doing as far as his work goes, but he really needs to get a better understanding about who he is. So our program also includes a very strong commitment to community here on campus. So we really build a life here for the guys who live together in the dorms I mentioned. They recreate together, we pray together, and they take a very innovative 2-year humanities cycle that integrates lots of different areas of expertise, history, theology, philosophy, the arts, and in those 2 years, help them understand who they are as a human person, and really getting back to what humanities is all about. So in the process of being here for a couple of years, the guys, are placed in apprenticeship, learn a skilled trade, make lifelong friendships, and really help their full person develop in their mind and their imagination and their understanding about what it means to be human.
That's incredibly powerful, because I've seen some of those experiences before, and they can be really life-changing for people. And it's interesting that you mentioned some of those skills, which are so critical. I mean, right now, it's been so difficult for me to even find an electrician in California, right? Everyone is swamped, contractors, construction, everybody is booked up. So we know how much those skills are in demand. Although there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence and automation, those are skills that are incredibly critical. I'd love to know a little bit about the process. How do you select people to get accepted into the program? 2 years, do people have to give up their life, their family? How do they, is there a select audience that you're going after that's right for the program?
Yeah, it's really and what we look for when we talk to fellows is an eagerness to undertake this adventure. We really focus on their maturity over the 2 years. So that naturally selects guys who want this adventure. So in other words, we don't make a promise to them to fulfill a certain abstract career goal, but it's really asking them to become part of a mission where they grow as a full person. So that's the first thing we make sure that they understand is when they're interested in this program, is that is the focus. We're asking them to commit. We're asking them to give into the community because they won't ever grow. As you know, and at that age, you don't grow unless you give. You have to give into something, or you'll just be stagnant.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, a lot of it's actually been word of mouth among families who understand that this is an excellent way to form a life is around the trades. You are in possession of your own set of skills. They're very clearly credentialed through the apprenticeship model. You become a journeyman machinist or a journeyman electrician, and you have that with you. You are that person. You're credentialed, and it means something. It's not an abstraction. It's very specific. So there's a certain culture, I should say, or vein of culture that understands that still. And we get a lot of young men from families from the trades who know its value. And otherwise, we just sit down with the guys and just talk about the adventure and if they want to be part of it. And then when they come on campus and watch it unfold, it's kind of exciting to watch the candidates and the recruits, walk through campus and see all these other young guys, building a CNC machine or making a go-kart or, out playing soccer on the field, and they want to be part of that community.
That's amazing, Brian. Before I kick it off to you, Ryan, I'd love to know a little bit about a story or something that's been powerful about somebody that, prior to coming to the program was a certain way, and then coming through the program that became a different person. I love, those stories are sort of uplifting.
Oh gosh. Well, now you're asking a proud father to talk about his kids, Arbaz. I'm so proud of these 6 graduates, and they each have an amazing story. We've taken the time to present them through our YouTube channel if you're interested enough to look there. But a couple of them stand out. One young man, when he arrived, a very talented fella, fairly local too, although our students come from all over the country, expressed that he had he was very shy and in his words put on himself some masks, which I thought was really very observant, very mature for a guy his age, of what he thought people wanted from him, what he thought his, the leaders in his life and the people he wanted to emulate, what he thought they wanted. And so he put these masks on. And when he got here, he expressed that in contact with the fellow students, sometimes actual, wrestling or just being around the guys and playing sports or being up in the lab, he said he could actually feel those masks crack and fall off. And this is, I thought, was incredibly perceptive of a fella at that age, to feel his true self come out, if that makes sense, and having the courage and the community to let that out and to let people know that that's what was happening with him. And now, he was up in front of a group of 200 people this weekend, just talking freely. And his parents were shocked and delighted, I'll have to say, that they had seen this young man flower in that way. So that's just 1 minute. As I said, I could go on and on about all the ways these guys have really flourished.
That's incredibly powerful. I mean, when you talk about restorative justice and change within institutions, one of the most powerful things is that to nurture empathy with people is to have another person that's very empathetic to be in that space with that person, right?
That's right.
You need human contact to bring humanity back to a person, help them find themselves, which is incredibly powerful. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Arbaz. And Brian, hearing the stories are so incredibly, inspiring, and it's great to hear about the impact. And I know you're excited to figure out how to scale that and reach more. And the foundation that I represent is really honored to be a part of you helping to do that. One thing I know you're well aware of, and I'd love you to speak to this. I think as important as the impact that you're having on individuals, which is paramount, you're also shaping and addressing a bigger challenge throughout the country. And that is that there's been really a dysfunctional and unfortunate stigma placed on these types of careers. And it's created challenges in the marketplace and in people's lives that are frankly unnecessary and quite destructive. And I'd love for you to just speak about how you see this as a part of a bigger trend that we've got to work on and address. And it's something we're very passionate about. I know you are as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. Well, as a tradesman myself, it's something I would experience regularly, that there's always this sense of, oh, you work with your hands. And then there's this sort of this moment where the conversation just sort of pauses and everyone sort of regroups to say, well, we'll start using short, simple words around you. And, sort of this, you know what I mean? It's this attitude of inadequacy and condescension. But I think really we are able to build on the coattails of people like Mike Rowe, who really has been the guy out really in front of this in the American culture, making people aware of just how, just from a practical standpoint, from a need standpoint, that we need people who fix things, and need people who get dirty, and we need people who aren't afraid to just put their head down and charge into something physically. He's done a tremendous job there, getting the conversation started. And for our part, we're just simply trying to live that out. Not only, we certainly have an advocacy role in trying to change the communication, but what we want to really focus on is to provide people the opportunity to meet, in our case, young men who have been particularly formed in a way that gives them the skills for themselves to articulate why the skilled trades are important to them and why working with their hands is important to them. So it's not only helping young men get into that situation, but they themselves will, for their turn, help change that conversation, along with Herman Academy, and along with Micro, and along with Charles Koch Foundation, to have people understand that it's not just simply a necessity, but it's actually, there's a dignity, there's an urgency, and there's an immediacy to working in the trades that in return brings dignity to the person. And it's also a unique way to collaborate with people you wouldn't necessarily have something in common with. So if I'm setting up a scaffolding tower on one of my construction sites, talk about collaboration. I mean, there's three of us working to get this tower set up so that we don't hurt each other, or so it doesn't fall over, so we get the job done efficiently. And that physicality of collaboration, I think is a unique, powerful way to build a society. And just, you pick up on this scaffolding analogy. I mean, it really is the scaffolding on which a lot of the rest of society rests, is that physical interaction of people working together in a place, in a time, doing something physical. And I think that missionary part then speaks into the culture, into the society, just naturally from that point.
Hey everybody, head over to www.edupexperience.com, our website, where you're going to find all of the episodes that we've recorded categorized so that you can ensure that you're spending your time listening to the podcasts that are most important to you. You're going to see the reviews of our podcasts, the shows in our network, our partners, and a section on starter episodes. If you're new to the EdUp experience, listen to those starter episodes and get a feel for how the podcast has evolved over time and our impact in the world. www.edupexperience.com.
Arbaz, one more question, then I'll kick it back to you. So this is fascinating, and your whole approach is based on this idea that I think is so critical to where learning and education needs to go. It's It's based on who the individual is. And we're all different. And to your point, we've all got unique dignity and characteristics that make us who we are. And so the goal really needs to be like what you're doing is identifying, helping people identify who they are, and then creating a pathway based on who they are to reach a place where they can create value for themselves and for other people. And that's I think the role that education needs to, play and where we need to go. I mean, from your perspective, beyond what you're doing at Harmel, what more can we do to, and I agree, Mike Rowe's out there, he's hitting the streets and he's doing a remarkable job. What more do you think we can do as entrepreneurs in this space, as investors in this space, as people that care about the role that learning plays in society? What more do you think we can do to drive change in the way that we think and act in order to put ourselves in a position where we're able to help more people reach their potential?
I think if I were to speak to a business owner or somebody who owned an enterprise that had skilled tradesmen in it, is I'd sort of flip the model in your head, or I would suggest that you play with the idea of flipping the model in your head of hierarchy in some ways, where maybe the communication between ownership and the shop floor is a little more direct. Maybe there is a way where ownership and leadership and management can actually participate in those skilled activities on the shop floor in some way, to really sense what it's like to do the work itself. That is uniquely powerful. That would be one thing I would think of, to just experience it and see what it's like to have that immediacy with the material world. That would be one thing. The other would be to just change the conversation in our own lives with those in our lives who are in the skilled trades. I remember having customers who owned nice homes and whose kids were going to college, saying how hard it was to get me there to work on their home because my construction company was always booked, a year in advance. And I would say that's yes, we're very busy because we're short of skilled tradespeople. I'm wondering, have you presented that as an option for your kids? Is that, because this is a great life. I mean, here I am helping you maintain your home, and you're grateful for the service I provide you, and I'm grateful for the relationship and what I can do. And I just help people understand that that's not a second choice. It's not. It's nothing like that. In other words, to just eliminate that hierarchy as much as possible. And, get to know the people that make your home run, get to know the people that make your car operate, get to know the people that make all the medical devices that help keep your family healthy. So it's kind of a shift in the mindset too. That would be the most powerful thing that I would see to do.
Hey, Arbaz, I promised you I was going to give it back. I'm going to hold off just one more. I think what Brian's saying is just so incredibly important. This clearing up this misperception. I mean, I think our young people who have the aptitudes to create enormous amounts of value in the skilled trades need to understand that it's not only a viable opportunity or alternative to consider. It may be the best alternative in most cases, and to forfeit the cost and wasted time of going to get a traditional 4-year degree when you can go and in your program, you're getting a little bit of both, which is absolutely incredible. But the way we all learn and the access we have to learning in a variety of different forms, people can get what they need based on who they are, and not feel so attached to going and getting this 4-year degree that in many instances they're not using in a productive way anyways. And so helping young people understand opportunity costs, helping young people understand the the opportunity they have to gain a skill and get into a job or create a business that could create enormous amounts of value in a short amount of time you're spot on, Brian. We've got to get that message out. Arbaz, sorry,
Oh, no worries. It's all great. Powerful words. Brian, I think there's a question that's on everyone's mind. Anytime you hear from somebody who started such an amazing initiative or project, is what are the moments that led you to actually want to put this into action, right? What was going on in your life? What is that founding story that really, put you in a position saying that, hey, I need to get involved with this. I need to be able to do something different for the people?
I think it's really frustration. I hate to use such a mundane term and not, not aim very high, but running a construction company and being friends with other tradesmen and seeing their frustration too, is for crying out loud, someone's got to fix this, and we talk, which is what I'm doing now, ironically, but I mean, there's all these conversations about it, but in the end, something's got to change. Someone's got to do something about it. And I was just in a position professionally and personally to try it. So, 5 years ago, we started pushing on this, and the barriers kept falling, and the walkways became more firm and more clear to supporters like the Charles Koch Foundation and others. That it was clear that, okay, we'll just keep going here. This is meant to be, and then just to meet with young people and their families who. So to start with frustration, but to build from that, to be encouraged, and then to also be encouraged by young people and their families who wanted this. In other words, to meet somebody casually and they say, yes, I'm so glad you're doing this. This is exactly what I've pictured a new educational enterprise looking like that solves this problem, rather than, chipping away at the edges of something, but to come right at the heart of the problem and start something new. So it was, there's also certainly a spiritual element to it for me also, feeling that I was really serving in doing this too. But yeah, I think initially the first thing was kind of frustration that, just fix this, somebody fix this. And turns out that was me, and the people that are committed to this with me. So.
Amazing. Before I kick it back to you, Ryan, this is my last question. Brian, what is the future of Herman Academy? What would you like to see in the future? What would you like to build? Where are you headed?
Well, we continue to grow, and so there's certainly the increase in enrollment that we're expecting over the next 5 years. But in addition to that, we'll be adding new programs. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned the two earlier on with electrical and manufacturing, but we'll be adding everything from all the apprenticeable trades as much as we can: HVAC, plumbing, welding, fabricating, anything that has that clear path and that certification. Those will grow over time, and we're also in conversation with other folks around the country that are looking to do similar programs to what we're doing. So we're very eager to help others. Think through how their institution could do something similar. So we may grow in that way, but certainly it's a limitless opportunity as far as I can tell, just looking out over the hiring needs that industry and the community has now, and the resurgence and interest in the skilled trades. So we're seeing ourselves grow in many, many different ways, but all the time coming back to that core understanding, the dignity of work, and the dignity of the person doing the work, and the life that sort of work can bring about for somebody.
Hey, Brian, that was awesome. Just a couple of final questions for me too. That a couple of things that didn't come out in the conversation yet that I had hoped to bring out. You noticed a gap, not just in education, but in Catholic education, that I think is kind of unique. And, Catholic education's been an important pillar of learning in this country for a long time. And yet, you noticed a gap. I wanted you to comment on that. And then I also wanted to hear briefly about the project you started in Africa, because it sounds, you know, in a similar vein, important in people's lives and helping them reach their potential. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Sure. Well, I think the gap in Catholic education has just been, I feel as though we're just picking up on a thread now, and you know, this is this time in the history of the American Catholic Church that was sort of, I don't want to say dropped, but let down gently on a table, maybe a couple of generations ago, where the Catholic educational experience was more vocational. But as you know, as the church aspired into you know, what we traditionally would call white collar work, there was still enough alive in that sentiment in the church to pick up that thread to say, no, that's right. There's so much to being a working guy that it's worth picking up again. So it's really I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it was not why it was possible to do what we've done is, for example, our bishop, who's from Cleveland and a working class family, knew immediately what we were talking about. The very first meeting, it was just instinctive. It was just in his bones, you know. And I think that's something that really resonated within the Catholic culture is this enterprise. So I think that's one of the things that really helped it along, is that it could be nurtured in that understanding, that historic understanding about the value of hard work and the value of manual work. And I think the unique Catholic educational experience is also going through a bit of a renaissance right now. There's been a lot of new innovative ideas in Catholic higher ed recently. And I think in talking with those folks too, that we've just been kind of connecting with, there's a great deal of excitement about what we can, as a denomination, as a group, do to help lead in the area of educational innovation. We certainly have a heritage of that, and so as I say, picking up that thread again has been pretty easy. And then for the question about the school in Africa, I would be quick to point out that I'm merely on the board, but my good friend Father Mark Desser is the one who's really leading that, and that's he has a trade school in the Horn of Africa that takes in young men also, and teaches them a skilled trade. His is not residential as ours is, but is you know, kind of a commuter school, so to speak. And he's there just teaching guys how to do stuff, because that's something that has not really flourished in that area. So he's teaching them welding, he's teaching them metal fabrication, auto mechanics, concrete work, carpentry. I mean, it's just an amazing thing that he's been able to do there. And I'm just honored to be supporting him in his missionary work. He is he's an amazing man, and he's doing some amazing things there with very, very little. So that's that mission there too.
Awesome. It's been a great conversation, Brian, Ryan. It's been a lot to learn about, a lot to take in. I think this is amazing work. It's amazing that Ryan, you're able to support this through the foundation. Any final thoughts before we close for the day?
No, I guess I'll comment just how remarkable it is when you think about a guy like Brian, who's not only talking the talk, but walking the walk, and someone who's sounds like made an incredible career for himself, gaining new skills and taking those skills to market and creating a lot of value for a lot of people. And then on top of that, figuring out how to create opportunities for other young people to follow his path and do the same thing. And both here, and it sounds like even to some extent in Africa. So I'm just continually inspired by the remarkable social change entrepreneurs out there who are coming up with ways to make the world a better place and help people reach their potential. And just so excited that EdUp continues to feature individuals like Brian. We need to get the word out so that others can follow his path.
Brian, any last thoughts?
Well, no, I'm just so I'm humbled by everyone's support. I really am. It's been pleasantly can I say pleasantly humbling to know how many people are supporting us and how energetic they are about it. So I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to our students, especially our first graduating class. Those guys, I mean, talk about knocking down the tall grass. They joined us here during a global pandemic, and they put their heads down with us and just charged through some incredible obstacles and just kept popping right back up and just moving forward. So they're a fine group of guys, and I really owe a lot to them too and their families.
Awesome, Brian. Well, thank you all for tuning in to EdUp, where we make education your business. Have a great day, everybody.